2 of the 4 U.S. citizens kidnapped in Mexico are dead. The 2 others are alive and back in the United States. Texas Congressman Tony Gonzales joins me. Congressman, these people were kidnapped and killed by the cartels. How do we deal with the cartels? Do we deal with them inside America as a law and order FBI issue? Or do we send in our military into Mexico? Which way do you stand?
We have to do both. I think it's time to label cartels what they are. They are terrorists, and they're terrorizing not only migrants and people along the border. Now they're terrorizing Americans. Imagine this: 2 Americans were killed in broad daylight. Something has to change. I've got a bill, the Security First Act, that labels cartels as terrorist organizations. It's time to take the gloves off. The Biden administration has done nothing, and it's only emboldened these actors. I was in Uvalde the other day. There was this gentleman told me this story where he had his granddaughter for the weekend, and his wife was giving his granddaughter a bath. And there was an illegal alien that broke into their home, terrified the family. He held that individual at gunpoint for about a half hour until the sheriffs showed up. There is lawlessness along the border. We have to do something, and it starts by labeling cartels as terrorists.
2 quick points, however, Congressman. If we label them terrorists, that would give an excuse to Mexican nationals to come across the border into America to escape terrorism. And number 2, if we were to send in SEAL Team 6 to knock off a couple of cartel leaders, the response would be extraordinary.
Well, look, I spent 20 years in the military. I spent 5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. I know what war looks like. War is hell, and I don't want war. I actually want to prevent war. But what we're seeing is Texas, well, the communities that live along the border, we're in war right now. It is hell for us. Something has to change. And, you know, the other part of it, too, is this is how you disrupt an organization. You label them a terrorist organization, and you take their money. Nothing hurts more than taking somebody's money. You take an organization's money, and then you watch how fast they change their actions. These are some of the things that I think the administration should push forward on.
So you're on the border. The White House is not denying reports that the administration may reinstate migrant family detention. They're not denying those reports. Watch this, please. Roll it.
You aren't ruling it out either. So why is this even being considered as a possible option now?
I'm just not going to comment on rumors that are out there. I'm not saying it's being considered. Again, this is something that Republicans could work with us on. He put forward an immigration policy, a comprehensive immigration policy on day one. But what we're seeing on the other side is political stunts. That's what they want to do. We're not looking to do political stunts. We're looking to deal with a real issue.
I just want to say, Congressman, that if we did reinstate family detention, that would mean we would have to build huge new facilities, schools, playgrounds, medical facilities, a ton of money. Are we prepared to do that, Congressman?
We're not, nor should we. You know, it's starting to be where the American is last in all of this equation. Wait a second. What about the needs that our communities have? But this is where the administration is getting it wrong. They're putting all their time and effort into illegal immigration, people coming over illegally, people breaking our laws. They're putting so much time and effort into that. Yes, the asylum process needs to be reformed. We all agree that it is broken, reformed, but the Republican Party needs to be the party of legal immigration. We need to be the party that goes, wait a second, for those that break our laws, you're going to be deported, you're going to be sent back, repatriation flights. But those that want to come and live and work and do these things can do it in a legal process. The administration has given up on that. There's an opportunity for the Republican Party to go, we are the party of legal immigration, not amnesty, not pathway to citizenship. To me, I think it starts with work visas.
A quick one on this. Congressman, 24 Border Patrol agents have reportedly been transferred to the northern border. They were previously on the southern border. We don't have enough agents to cover both borders, do we?
We don't. And, you know, I recently joined the Northern Border Patrol, the Northern Border Caucus, because what's happening at our northern border is similar to the southern border. Not enough manpower, overwhelmed, and the threat of fentanyl, which is killing all our kids every single day, is coming over in droves. So something has to change. What the administration doing is not enough. I'd also say Congress has a role to play in this. We can't just be pointing fingers. We have to pass meaningful legislation that ultimately can get signed into law and make a difference. Otherwise, we're just blaming each other for all the things that are wrong. We know what's wrong. Let's fix it. Let's find a bipartisan way to fix it and move it forward.
Congressman Tony Gonzales, Texas, thanks very much for being here, sir. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.